Hey guys, so with the third match day of the CONCACAF Gold Cup done and the group stage over, I want to look at what the last day of the group stage meant and what teams are moving on in this tournament to the quarterfinals. So to start things off, we had Group A, where Canada demolished Cuba 7-0. The Cuban team had a lot of problems this tournament. They had several players desert the team after the loss to Mexico in the first game, and then they ended up losing 3-0 to Martinique, pretty much ensuring that they'd come last in the group. So then going up against Canada this match day, there just seemed to be a lack of effort from the team. They seemed to be very disheartened with their performance at this Gold Cup. And the Canada team came out looking for the win they needed to qualify for the quarterfinal, coming off the loss to Mexico. And they just absolutely dominated Cuba, 7-0, tying the record for the second biggest win in Canadian national team history. Jonathan David and Lucas Cavallini both had hat tricks, meaning that of the 5 hat tricks in the history of the Canadian national team, 2 of them came in this game. That's ridiculous, especially given the fact that the team's been around since the 1920s. This is just a huge win for Canada, one of the best games the national team's probably ever played, the best game they've ever played at a Gold Cup for sure, and it booked their ticket into the quarterfinals. And then the second game, Group A, Mexico versus Martinique. Mexico played a weaker lineup in this game, having already won their first 2 games, and it was pretty obvious that they were going to qualify for the next round. All they had to do was beat Martinique, or even tie Martinique, and they would have been fine. And well, it was pretty close. Martinique had a hell of a game. They made it very close, 3-2, but Mexico is just the better team. They were obviously the better team and got the win. And for Martinique, they just had a hell of a tournament. Against Canada, they didn't score, but they had a lot of really good chances. They dominated Cuba and then had a really close game against Mexico. For all the teams that didn't make the quarterfinal, the one that maybe deserved to the most was Martinique. In Group B, Bermuda beat Nicaragua 2-0 to continue just the absolutely incredible tournament Bermuda had. Again, this team wasn't even supposed to qualify, and they only lost by a goal to both Haiti and Costa Rica, and then got a 2-0 win against Nicaragua even after they'd been eliminated from the tournament. This tournament is probably the peak of Bermuda soccer. Behind Martinique, they were probably the second best team to not qualify for the quarterfinals. Nicaragua, because of this, they lose every game. It's a pretty disappointing tournament for them. You really expected them to be better in this group than Bermuda was, but Bermuda just had something special going on this tournament. And then for the game that would decide who came in first in this group, Haiti-Costa Rica, a stunning result. Haiti actually wins 2-1 against Costa Rica. Costa Rica was one of the better teams in CONCACAF coming into this tournament. They were expected to win this group pretty easily. They are the only team from the Hex in this group, a team with real recent World Cup experience. And they just lost 2-1 to Haiti. Haiti's had an absolutely incredible tournament. They are playing like they have something to prove. They're playing like they believe that they can win this tournament. And they're very scary right now. And because Costa Rica lost, well, both these teams still advance. Now in the quarterfinals, we'll have Costa Rica going up against Mexico. 2 of the 3 teams from CONCACAF that were in the World Cup last year are now playing in the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup. That is a very drastic turn of events, and it means that a very good team is going out early in this Gold Cup. In Group C, Jamaica and Curacao tie 1-1. Curacao with a late screamer to tie this game, and not only tie this game, but qualify for the quarterfinals. Bermuda were almost the underdog story of this tournament. And then Curacao had their last 2 games. They beat Honduras, scoring their first ever goal in a Gold Cup. And now they score their second ever goal against Jamaica to get 4 points in their group. And with Honduras beating El Salvador, they qualify for the quarterfinals. And Curacao just had such a story for this Gold Cup because they played their first game against El Salvador, who was probably the weakest team in the group besides them going into it, and they lost that game. And after that loss, they were pretty much ridden out of this tournament. It was all but over for them. And then they somehow managed to scrape a win off of Honduras. And then a last-minute goal to tie Jamaica and put them through. They were definitely the story of the group stage. They are the Cinderella story of this tournament. And This is just a major moment in Curaçao's soccer history. Jamaica with the 1-1 tie also qualified for the quarterfinals, which they were expected to do. Honduras beats El Salvador 4-0. For a Honduras team that was already eliminated, this was already a disappointing tournament for them. And then beating El Salvador 4-0 just saves them from utter embarrassment, but it was too little too late. They should have won a game earlier on in the group stage. They didn't want to be eliminated. Basically, all this does is they can say that they weren't fully defeated and that they knocked El Salvador out. And poor El Salvador just needed a point off of Honduras to get through, and they just fully blew it. In Group D, another matchup between two already eliminated teams, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, ended up in a 1-1 draw. This is very disappointing for Trinidad and Tobago, a team that was in the hex for the World Cup qualifying last year and didn't even manage a win in this Gold Cup. Their best result was a 1-1 tie against a Guyana team that was not expected to do anything. For Guyana, this is a pretty solid result. They were not expected to do anything in this group, ended up shaking a tie out of Trinidad and Tobago. So for them to be able to say that they didn't end up pointless in this tournament is pretty good for them. And then the USA beat Panama 1-0 off of a beautiful bicycle kick by Josie Altidore. Both teams were already going to advance, but this makes the USA top of the group and undefeated going into the quarterfinals. For the USA, there was a lot of question marks for them going into a group of Panama and Trinidad and Tobago, two of the teams that combined to keep them out of the World Cup last year. And the fact that they were able to beat both of them and come top in their group is a bit of a redemption bit for them, but for them to really show their redemption for losing and not qualifying for the World Cup, they need to do a lot more in this tournament than just win their group and get to the quarterfinals. They need to make a serious title run. And with those group stage results, the quarterfinals become Canada versus Haiti, Mexico versus Costa Rica, Jamaica versus Panama, and the USA versus Curaçao. Now, for my predictions for the quarterfinals. Canada-Haiti. Haiti has had something to prove this tournament. They've been absolutely fantastic in every game they've played. They beat Costa Rica. Canada beat two weaker opponents in Cuba and Martinique, but they utterly dominated both of them, and then they lost 3-1 to a very, very, very strong Mexico team. In the second half of that Mexico game, when they put on what was their best lineup after they'd rested some players, they looked pretty even with Mexico and got quite a few chances and even scored during that time. So this is going to be an incredibly even game and an incredibly close game, in my opinion. I think against strong opposition, Haiti has proved themselves more, but Canada, when they've been on, have been dominant. And that shows the amount of confidence and skill that this team has. And I know that this is going to be really, really close. And this is a bit of a biased pick, but I have to go with Canada. My heart will not let me not choose Canada to win this game. I need to believe that it will happen, because for Canada, not making it out of the quarterfinals of this tournament, it will be a disappointment, especially since Haiti ended up top in that group and not Costa Rica. If it was Canada playing Costa Rica and they got knocked out in the quarterfinals, that would be kind of understandable. But losing to Haiti in the quarterfinals, even though they did better in the group stage and beat Costa Rica in the group stage, on paper, Haiti is not Costa Rica, and losing to them in the quarterfinals would be unacceptable. It would be a lot like losing to Jamaica in the 2017 quarterfinals, which, well, Jamaica did end up going to the finals. It's not like you're going out against a top CONCACAF team. You're going out against a team that doesn't make the hex. So I have to pick Canada for this game, just based off of what we're building in Canada in our soccer and just how dominant they've been in the games that they've been on and playing teams that aren't Mexico in this tournament. Mexico, Costa Rica. In my initial predictions video, I had this as the semifinal on this side of the bracket, and I said Costa Rica was going to come out on top. Having watched Mexico play now, I realized that was completely wrong. Mexico is by far the best team in this tournament, and they should easily beat Costa Rica. I know Costa Rica is pretty good, but this tournament, Mexico is just something else. To the other side of the bracket, Jamaica, Panama. This is a tough one. Panama is probably the better team, but Jamaica did have Leon Bailey decide to play for their national team now. And it's the Gold Cup, where Jamaica has made the finals in each of the last two Gold Cups. And yes, Jamaica did tie Curaçao, but Panama also lost to the United States. The fact is, Panama has proven that they are beatable in this Gold Cup, and Jamaica is undefeated. Yes, Jamaica only won one game, but they are undefeated still. And I honestly do want to say Panama should take this. But because it's the Gold Cup, and because it's Jamaica in the Gold Cup, I have to say Jamaica will go through to the semis. And the final match of the quarterfinal, the USA versus Curacao. If Curacao somehow manages to beat the USA, their group stage result doesn't matter. US soccer is in complete flames. But against the hosts of the tournament, I don't think Curacao can pull it off. Just getting to the quarterfinals has been an incredible run for this team. And now they have the misfortune of going up against one of the top teams in CONCACAF in the United States. And one of the top teams in CONCACAF at home. All that combined with the fact that US soccer is starting to prove, I think the US is going to go through in this game. If it was a stronger team that the US is going up against in this round, I think they would choke. But the fact that they got Curacao is kind of a gimme for them. And if they don't move on, it is literally a disaster. So I'm going to say the USA is going to move on because they have to. Or else the entire team is probably going to be retired from the national team or something. Because losing this game would be unacceptable. So that's my predictions for the quarterfinals. I'm not going to predict the semifinals because if this is wrong, what's the point? I'll just do a semifinal prediction after the quarterfinals actually happens with the correct teams. But yeah, this is how I think it's going to shake down. We're going to have two Group A teams go through and have a matchup that we've already seen on one side, and then two teams from different groups on the other side go through and have a matchup of two first place teams in their groups. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you like this, hit like. If you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.